Welcome back to our live stream audience. We're here once again in the F8 studio. Once again, I'm Michael Huang. I'm joined here today by Kevin Pryor, who's a product marketing manager here at Facebook. Thanks so much for joining me, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
We also have the 5 FbStart Apps of the Year award winners who we'll be introducing in just a bit. But for those who don't really know about FbStart and aren't familiar with it, what exactly is it? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share. So FbStart is actually Facebook's global startup program for mobile app developers. We think about it in 3 ways of working with these people. So one is actually benefits. We actually give up to 60,000 in free tools and services to our members. And that includes not only from Facebook and Parse, but also from Adobe, Hootsuite, MailChimp, and a bunch of other really, really great partners we work with. The second thing is it's actually a community. So it's a global startup community where people can interact and work with each other if they're solving similar industry problems, they're kind of scaling their apps and want to learn from each other. And so we try and facilitate a lot of that interaction as well. And then finally, it's mentorship. Mentorship is really important to make sure that, especially at bigger companies like Facebook, you have someone to talk to. You have someone in both formal and informal ways that you can interact with us, our product people, our engineers and experts. And so we try and create a lot of opportunities to do that as well.
Fantastic. So I know we announced today the winners of the FbStart Apps of the Year initiative. Yes. Tell us a little bit about why we put this together and what exactly it is.
Yeah. So Apps of the Year is an extension of FbStart. And it's our way of recognizing our most successful mobile app members. And so we actually put together a 50,000 cash grand prize for the overall winner, a set of fantastic industry-leading judges who were able to actually evaluate hundreds of these submissions. And we actually have them here today, the winners of the first annual FbStart Apps of the Year.
Awesome. So let's introduce all of them. There are 5 winners for the FbStart Apps of the Year. To Kevin's left, we have Uri Merovich, who is our European, Middle East, and Africa App of the Year winner, CEO of Witchit. COO of Witchit. There we go. Next to him, we have Ari Weinstein, who's with Desconnect, that makes Workflow, and they were our North American App of the Year winner. Then we have Samir Iásbeck de Oliveira, who is from Qranio, which was our Latin American App of the Year winner. We then have Dodd Caldwell, who is from the nonprofit Rice Bowls, which makes the app Hunger Crunch, which was our social good winner of the year. And then finally, we have our global App of the Year winner, Felipe Santos, who is from MomentCam. Thank you so much for joining us. So briefly, I think it would be great to just go around and hear what exactly it is that each of your apps does and what problem you're trying to solve.
Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for having us here. It's a real pleasure. So I am Uri, the CEO of Witchit. Witchit is a social platform that allows users to share their choices with their friends and family, the Witchit community, and their social networks.
Great.
Sweet, yeah. So I'm Ari. We make Workflow, which is an automation tool for iOS. So it lets you automate different things that you might want to do every day. Like you could make an app on your home screen that takes the last 5 photos you took and uploads them all to Facebook at once, or even things that are more complicated than that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Qranio is an app when you can learn, you have fun, you earn IQs, or virtual currency, and you can exchange these IQs for a real prize. Use only your knowledge.
Fantastic.
Right. Well, Rice Bowls, the nonprofit, we're actually an orphan care nonprofit. And so we developed Hunger Crunch as a video game where anybody who plays can fight hunger in the game and in the real world too. So hunger is personified as monsters that you can take out, and then all the in-app purchases go directly to Rice Bowls.
So MomentCam is a unique app that connects the world through art and technology. So basically it allows users to take a photo and turn that photo into caricatures and stickers that then they can share on social media with friends and family.
Fantastic. And it's a really great set of panelists. We have people with, photography, gaming, productivity. So we're really happy to have you here. And, for Apps of the Year, you actually had to be an FbStart member to submit for the awards. And again, we're so happy you're part of the program. I'd love to hear more about, how FbStart, our tools and services, or even just being part of the program, has kind of helped you or helped your app grow. Philippe, I know you have some really interesting insights, especially coming from China.
So exactly, our app is based in China. And the FbStart program actually helped us a lot, both on the marketing side, but also on the product development side. So for example, talking about the tools that FbStart provide us, they were very interesting for us because sometimes it's hard to navigate through so many tools as a startup. We don't have enough knowledge and we don't have enough resources to try all the tools available. So Facebook gives credibility to these tools, so we know we can use them. And for example, in our case, we did use, for example, a MailChimp to connect with our users, to increase user engagement, to get feedback from there, to make announcements. We use, for example, SurveyMonkey. So, for example, MomentCam has everyday new content, and the users helped us through SurveyMonkey and the polls that they provide to select our next themes. We used Asana for the team management. We used also user testing was a very interesting app for us. And finally, the FbStart, the support that we have, the one-on-one support, the mentorship you were talking about, and the budget we have to make ads was a very interesting opportunity for us as well.
Fantastic. What about you, Uri? How have you seen FbStart work for your app?
So first of all, it was very, very helpful, and everything that was said was right. We have a great example of how one of your services, the Stripe, the fact that the startup at our stage had access to Stripe to use it, it enabled us to expedite crucial business components of our product, and even because of its simplicity, saved us over a month of development. For a startup like us, this is it's a gold mine. And in addition, of course, Hootsuite and MailChimp gave us marketing power, and the support is just, it's a great program, and I recommend it to every startup who can join.
Fantastic. Well, one of the goals of FbStart is to give you guys access to tools and mentorship to kind of take some of the pressure off. As startups and nonprofits, you have a million of competing priorities. As developers, you're trying to balance things with developing your app in addition to user acquisition, figuring out a monetization strategy, all of these things. How do you guys go about prioritizing things as a startup? Ari, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. So we have this, I guess, interesting question right now, which is, obviously we have very limited resources, like you said, and so we need to decide if we want to spend our time building new functionality so that you can do all these different things with workflow. Like, for example, we just built the Messenger platform thing came out yesterday, so we just are working on integrating that into workflow. So all sorts of new functionality like that, versus trying to really hone in on the experience so that everybody who downloads the app for the first time finds something that is really useful for them to automate with workflow. And so we're trying to figure out sort of how to balance those two things with each other, and which one needs to come first. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Always a lot of things.
Yeah.
Things happening. Samir, how about you? How has Qranio kind of balanced all of these different priorities as a startup?
To prioritize the things to do in the app, we build new releases every 15 days to our users. We have a small group, a small Facebook group to bring to us new improves, and every 15 days we deliver new releases and monitoring what the users like, dislikes, and improve new features and bug fixes.
So good beta testing through Facebook groups. That's great. And Dodd, as I understand, you are the president of the nonprofit you work for, and it's a little different, right? So, nonprofit obviously have limited resources and are kind of also prioritizing things.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, why did you go with the route of, making an app, for instance, and how does that help kind of your organization's goals? And
Sure. So it was really a pretty strategic decision that we made. We primarily work with kids in the U.S. that do fundraising projects, and traditionally kids have used coins and dollar bills, right, to buy things. That's how it's always been since our organization was around. And we wanted to see, okay, we know that's not going to continue in the future. So how do we still engage with kids here in the U.S. that we like to teach them and inspire them to live lives of giving and service, at the same time do fundraising projects for kids overseas.
Yeah.
So we're like, where are they going to be in the next 5 to 10 years? Good or bad, they're going to be in front of screens. But it's not as simple as putting a donate button on a website or something that you could do with adults.
Yep.
So we're really trying to figure out how are we going to engage with those kids and still educate them, and at the same time let them have fun. So that's really why we went the route of doing a video game. And as far as prioritizing, honestly, the video game, fun is a priority. There's so many like educational games that are not fun, and ours is actually less educational. We try to focus. We have like events and things where we do the education, and we make the game just fun. For a small, nonprofit, obviously resources are limited, and that's where things like Parse come in handy for us as far as being able to not have to build out our own back end with a very small team.
Fantastic. That's great.
Awesome. So you guys obviously have been able to build fantastic apps. That's why you're now award winners as of today. The next big piece, once you've gotten everything together and everything sort of working smoothly, is obviously figuring out how to scale. I know, for example, MomentCam is huge. I believe you guys have 150 million downloads at this point.
It's actually 200 million.
Okay.
So,
200 million. My information
already.
is out of date. Just a 25% increase. There we go. So how did you guys go about managing that scale and even achieving that scale?
Sure. So indeed, like MomentCam went viral at some point, and it was just so you have an idea. In one day, we had about 3.25 million activations in one single day. We had 120 million caricatures made in one day, and everything was still working thanks to a very good backend team that we have first. Everything is on the cloud. We have the Alibaba cloud, but also other clouds. And we have a backend team that is always looking at the servers all around the world. Another thing about our app is that it's evenly distributed around the world, both in terms of age, country, gender, and geography. And therefore, we have a very strong backend team that is always checking on servers, how to optimize our servers around the world. And that's how MomentCam can handle all this data inflow and use new users.
Awesome. Did anything about the growth surprise you, like a particular country or market or demographic?
Well, the thing is, we started at the time, we at the very beginning, after we had this amazing idea about bringing art to people's everyday lives. We started focusing on product development. And once we saw that we had a great product, that we were satisfied with the feedback, we started doing some marketing in China at the beginning because we were based in China. We know the local market a bit better. And then overnight, when we expanded to the new markets, to the new app stores, it went crazy from one day to the other. It was the next day that was Indonesia, then the countries there was some spillover, of course. And then, for example, Brazil is one of our big markets. And right now, all around the world, you can see MomentCam. So where there's a smartphone, there's a high possibility that there's a MomentCam installed.
You make it sound so easy. So Uri, how has Widget handled growth and looking toward new markets?
So we planned Widget from the day one. We planned it for scale. There's no point of building an app today, or especially a social app, if you're not ready for it. We built the technology infrastructure from day one on the cloud, ready to expand to new geographies with load balance and disaster resistance, because in the end, scale is about new geography and the survivability of the app. But we also plan our business infrastructure, and we aim to grow it at the pace of the technology growth. It doesn't help if you have users in different countries if you cannot support them. And that's how we planned it from the first day of the startup, of the company.
Great. And Samir, if I understand it, Qranio is now kind of looking to expand beyond Brazil and Latin America. Where are you looking for your markets, and how do you decide where to enter?
Before expanding to another countries, you have to build a stronger product. Is a very good advice for everyone. And choose the correct country. Now I'm looking to the Asian market. I opened a company in the Singapore to look into the China and India, and talking with 2 mobile carriers, because I use the mobile carriers to boost my app in this market.
Fantastic.
But we have a lot of problems to solve before go to these markets. But my advice about this subject is you have to be, before to go to another country, a stronger product in your country. For me, it's more easy because Brazil is not a very small country. I can prove my business, I can monetize only in Brazil. If you stay only in Portugal or a small country, it's most difficult to do this. But this is my advice. You start in one country like US, like Brazil, like Russia.
Fantastic. And we just released our new analytics product yesterday. So hopefully that can help with scale and localization as well. Something to really look forward to.
Yeah, so we're talking about scaling, we're talking about entering new markets, taking a step back and just thinking about your user acquisition strategy overall. I know there's a lot of different ways to go about it and a lot of different things to probably focus on as you're kind of building out your user acquisition model. Ari, I know Workflow, for example, is a paid app.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the decision around that and if you felt that's worked for you or how you thought about like the free versus freemium versus paid?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Not too many people are doing paid apps right now. Yeah, it's not that big of a thing. But you know, we felt like paid was just a great place to start. It's really simple. You know, the people who are going to download our app are going to be the ones who are most excited about it, the ones who are literally willing to pay for it. And so, you know, we just and we get to make a little bit of money, which really helps us, you know, run our company. And so it's just a really great place to start. We don't really see ourselves probably being paid for forever, but for right now, it's working out really well for us.
So you mentioned that because it's a paid app, it'll be the users that are most excited about downloading it. Do you think that's helped with re-engagement?
Yeah, I think so. I think people who pay for an app, you know, that they're invested in it, so they, you know, they're going to come back and say, hey, you know, what new interesting stuff can I do with this? I think that's true. Yeah.
Awesome. So Dodd, I know the nonprofit model is obviously very different from a startup that's thinking about user acquisition and ultimately having to monetize that user base. How have you guys gone about distributing and getting promotion for
Well, I mean, to be honest, we're super early stage. We don't have, you know, 200 plus million users yet. So, I mean, we just launched our Android app like a couple weeks ago. So super early stage, but I mean, one of the first things we're doing is targeting, we've been around since 1980 as a nonprofit, and targeting the people who've been involved in our nonprofit before. And a lot of those are leaders. When I say leaders, it could be a principal of a school or something like that. And we've set up what's called tournament mode, where they can have, for instance, if you're a principal at a school, you could have 4th grade versus 5th grade. And you actually can have an event where kids are educated about the orphan crisis and about the game as well, and like a starting event and an end event. And that involves kids, and we've even noticed with like high schoolers, that because you have an event there, it drives a social engagement too. They're Instagramming about, you know, they're posting about it, you know, everywhere. So that's actually helped kind of spread even within like high schools and things like that when we do these like actual in-person events, and also that's driven up the dollars per player as well, because they're competing against each other to see who can provide the most meals, like in the real world, as well as like, you know, levels and different things in the game. So that's, you know, having groups and individuals competing against each other has helped.
Yeah, please say. Go ahead.
For me, I believe only 2 ways to gain new users if you have a B2C app. The first is member get member. Your product provide member get member feature is very useful to gain new users. The second is good partnerships like Qranio in Brazil. We have partnerships with all mobile carriers to boost our user gain, and very useful for me more than all other ones is Facebook ads.
Okay.
We didn't tell him to say that.
That's not
I swear.
I believe in Facebook ads.
Well, this is great. There seems to be a really good mix of like grassroots, in-person, partnerships, ads. It seems to be you have to think of a lot of different tactics and strategies for your user acquisition, and obviously, especially when you're bootstrapped, that's not an easy task at all. I think you hit on something, Dodd. You said you just released your Android app. I know Ari Workflow is only on iOS now. It works with a lot of the native elements of iOS. So this kind of leads me to the next question. I think this is on every startup, every developer's mind right now is how do you think about the platforms you start with, you expand to, when is the right time to do that? Kind of open question to anyone here who wants to answer, but I think it's a really interesting and really hard scenario to tackle and decide when to do that and which platforms. So I'd love to hear any of your thoughts as to how you think about that, how you prioritize platforms.
for Widget, first of all, we completely agree that it's a mobile-first world, and we are still in our soft launch, but from the moment we developed our platform, we developed it native iOS, native Android, and mobile-first responsive web design.
Oh, wow.
And what we are doing, we are giving our users the same user experience across all platforms. It really means taking the effort to making sure that no platform gets an advantage over the other. And we're a very product-oriented company. So we have a product manager, he's leading the product, and we have different teams of developers or different developers for each operating system to make sure we're consistent. In a social platform, you cannot exclude one iOS over the other, one OS over the other.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're iOS only right now, and we really love iOS. It's a great platform. At some point, we'd definitely like to do an Android app. I'm really excited about this company called App Portable that is, and there's a couple companies that are doing really interesting stuff in letting you write basically native code that's actually native to both platforms, and then you can sort of optimize the UI for each so it really feels very native. And so I'm excited. Hopefully those solutions will keep going forward, and we can use our existing code base on other platforms. And we're also, the last thing is we're working on expanding to a new platform, which is Apple Watch. And we're pretty excited about all the watch platforms and wearables. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, fantastic. Great.
Cool. So speaking of platforms, obviously Facebook platform is very beneficial to many kinds of developers and apps around the world. You guys mentioned Parse, you mentioned mobile app ads, and this, again, open to anyone. What particular Facebook products have you been able to leverage and seen the most results from?
At MomentCam, first of all, when we started this FbStart program, we didn't have the mobile like, we didn't have a Facebook login, and that's something we've been implementing with the help of the FbStart team. And again, something that was very important at the time is that we were not really present on social media, on Facebook as a social media platform. And something we've been working on, because we really have to engage with our users and communicate with our users, was, for example, making a Facebook page that now has about 1.5 million users, and it's very valuable to us because users can contact us directly, they can share their caricatures, we can understand how the interests of our users, and we can understand our users better thanks to Facebook. We use, for example, also the Facebook platform, for example, for beta testing. So we have our own community for beta testing. We use Facebook ads a lot. It worked very well for us. So at the beginning was kind of intimidating, for a small startup to spend money on ads on Facebook. And this was a great opportunity to do A/B testing, to try different things. And we came up to, at the beginning we thought, other apps, other companies that come to us to do marketing, they should do it better, right? Because they know how to do ads. But actually, we understand the company better. So if you learn how to use the Facebook ads, then it was very beneficial for us, and we have great results that we are really happy with.
Fantastic.
With Widget, Facebook is integral. It's a critical and integral part of the user experience. We use it from the login to the way users create content and distribute it. And we love working with the Facebook tools because not only they improve the user experience, but they're also very developer friendly. So the turnaround time from seeing a Facebook product to launching it on our platform is very fast. Yesterday's keynote about Messenger, we listened to it and we find it very, very relevant as well to the Widget product. And we're already thinking about how we can create Widget for Messenger and integrate it as well.
Yeah, fantastic. And I know, Ari, with Workflow, you can actually use Facebook sharing and kind of connect it with other apps, other iOS native experiences. So I'm just curious, what kind of scenarios have you seen that people use Facebook sharing a lot for?
Yeah.
Or what do people want to share?
Totally. That's a really interesting question, actually. So when we were putting together Workflow, we were trying to figure out how can we sort of bring people into the Workflow experience and teach them sort of what's going on here. So we put together this first-time user experience where every time you use the app for the first time, it brings you through making a simple workflow that lets you make an animated GIF, and then you can do something with it. And so people really like making animated GIFs and posting them on their Facebook wall. It converts them to videos for Facebook, and so that's pretty fun. It's a really good question. What other types of things people are posting? We've gotten a lot of requests. People would love to be able to use Workflow to automate sort of Facebook pages they manage, and that's actually something we're working on for the next release. Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. Are there any other sort of Facebook platform tools you guys have used? I know you said Parse helped you scale really quickly,
Yeah,
John.
as far as implementing push notifications, I mean, literally we're a small number of one developer, so it's like we don't really have the infrastructure to scale everything without using other resources, and so it's actually been I would say we would not have Hunger Crunch, and particularly like it powers the back end and database of these tournaments and everything as well.
Yeah.
We just couldn't have those things with one developer on staff without using Parse. And of course, we're using doing sharing. When you finish levels, posting scores, and like all the different accomplishments and goals you've reached in the levels. And it's the only Facebook ads are the only paid marketing that we've actually seen real ROI from.
Wow, fantastic.
And so we're looking, we've really just up to now been experimenting, but we're looking at, okay, what are ways that we could actually grow that?
That's great.
Awesome. So we've talked about a lot of platform products that you guys have been using. Is there anything at F8? I know we talked about the Messenger platform that you're excited about or potentially
We're looking to integrate soon.
Yes.
So the Messenger platform was big news for us because one of the big parts, actually, something we really like about MomentCam is our emoticons. So the ability to share GIFs to the Messenger platform was something that we were really looking for. And actually, we had talked with the FbStart people from the FbStart team, Matt, for example, and it was a great surprise. I was very happy with it because I think that's something that we really like about MomentCam, and I'm looking forward to make users, allow users to actually share our emoticons on the Facebook Messenger platform.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really cool iOS stuff coming out. So what's it called? Component Kit, I think. It's sort of the React for iOS. It's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to playing with it.
Cool. Great. Awesome. So, I'm just curious, just broadly, what do you see as the main opportunity for your app and your app's growth this year, and the main challenge? Like, what are the things you're thinking about that are top of mind? And again, anyone's free to answer.
My challenge is take Qranio to the next level, to engaging more our users and more orientation and more new users.
Yeah.
And the big opportunity, I believe, for this year is in Brazil. It's a good tip for you because now more than 50% the Brazilians has a smartphone.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And last year, less than 20%. So it's a big growth to the new smartphone users. This number is more than 100 million users, new users in Brazil with smartphones. It's a good tip and a good opportunity for me and for...
It's like half a MomentCam.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's not China, it's Brazil.
Yeah, actually, our users are mostly from abroad. So we have half in China, half abroad, actually even more. And our main opportunity and challenge as well this year is monetizing. So it's we want to bring merchandising, want to allow users, and we really think there's a value into it. So for example, if you go to Walmart and you buy a mug, white mug for $20, it has a value. But if you have the same mug, but you have a caricature in it of you with your family together, of you and your girlfriend, you and your wife, it's an amazing gift. So the value is much higher than the $20 that they originally offered, but the cost is just slightly higher. And we think it will make great anniversary presents. I remember when I started working, when I started in MomentCam, I had a friend that had a wedding, and I just searched on MomentCam for a wedding, and I had all these pictures that I used their faces, to create a lot of caricatures. I just put them all together in a Word file, and I made a frame out of it, and I gave them also for as another present, a special present, and they loved it. So I think that merchandising is a great opportunity for us this year.
I will help you in Brazil,
Okay.
and you help me.
All right.
See, community.
deals,
We can talk community. It's all about the FbStart community. Please.
For Widget, the great opportunity is that Widget is perfect marketing tools for brand managers who want to engage with their customers. We know how to identify when a user becomes a potential customer, And we know how to connect between the user and the business at that decision-making point. For example, when a user likes a photo, that's where the business can offer a coupon for the users. And our great opportunities, we see already businesses engaging with users on the platform and driving revenues directly from the app to the storefront. And we work with SMBs and brands. And the challenge, or it's not a challenge, but it's what we do, is we're working hard to make the product as best as possible. For them, and to make that engagement in a positive manner that the users and the businesses are both benefiting from.
So this is interesting. It seems like just through the conversation I've heard there's a lot of partnerships that, you know, besides Facebook, you're working with a lot of brands, you're working with telecom, you said, Samir. How have you found kind of those relationships that have helped you grow as your app, and how do you kind of identify who to partner with and at what times?
Well, in our case, you know, we're based in China, and one of the big platforms there was Tencent. So WeChat is also a platform that at the beginning was very interesting. And now, as we at that time, we were mainly focused in China, but as we became international, Facebook became increasingly the platform to look at.
Yeah.
For us, again, the partnership is the fact that everyone who uses Widget becomes an ambassador of Widget. So when a brand uses Widget to engage with their customer, they expose more users to the Widget platform and they get them to re-engage. It's a social shopping platform. It's a platform where users and businesses engage together, and users come to the platform to discover new products and to see what to buy. For example, if you hashtag Valentine's Day, you can find all different people asking questions, people answering answers, and it's a good discovery and inspiration tool as well. So it's open for everyone, and we want everyone to use Widget.
Great. So you guys come from all over the world. You're based in London, Brazil. We've got China represented, South Carolina, San Francisco. Very, very unique for a startup. How have you guys faced any particular challenges in developing in different markets? And do you see how do you see your specific startup ecosystems growing and evolving?
Well, I mean, being from South Carolina, it's not exactly like the tech hub necessarily of the world, but I mean, I think there's advantages to living in off markets. For instance, you know, living in San Francisco and funding a startup or developing something is a lot more expensive, right? And retention's harder, things like that. I do things apart from in software apart from rice bowls, and I've seen that in the for-profit world and in the nonprofit world is there's still talent anywhere you go. It's not just like talent's not region specific. You just have to find it, and it can be a lot more cost effective. So it's actually, I look at it as an advantage as opposed to a disadvantage living in what I would call like an off market.
Yeah.
In Brazil, the startup ecosystem is growing very fast. The best city is São Paulo, and now another city is Belo Horizonte in Minas Gerais state, is my state. I'm coming from a small city, and the name is Juiz de Fora in Minas Gerais state. And I have to move to São Paulo to improve my business and mentorship and another network. Brazil is growing the startup ecosystem very fast.
For us, we're very lucky. We come from Israel, which is, everybody knows, it's a great ecosystem for startups. And we moved to London, which also has a great ecosystem for startups, but that's also where our users are, this global market. So we feel very fortunate to be in the center. And for us to meet the brands is to cross the street or meet them in the nearest event. That's it.
What would you, just really quickly around the sort of panel, what would be your best advice for someone or another company or nonprofit even, just starting out? You know, what would you tell them, your number one advice, as they start to develop an app and put it out there?
So in our case, we think that you shouldn't start from the technology side. You should start from a deeper meaning. So in our case, we wanted to bring art into people's lives, and that's how it started. And then we developed the app. So this is something very important. And then a very small tip as well. It's kind of a joke, but don't release apps on Fridays and don't release apps before holidays. This is also small. It's a small gift to our audience.
Great.
So our director of design and branding has a phrase. He says, "How hard can it be?" And the answer is always harder than you think. So going into it, just don't be super naive. It's always going to take longer and be harder and cost more than you thought it would. So kind of plan for that going into it.
Yeah.
My tip is have a purpose, and money is consequence.
Beautiful.
That's great.
I'd say trust your gut, because no one else is ever going to understand your product or business quite as much as you can.
I say don't plan for a startup, plan for $1 billion business. It will force you to think about the long road ahead and how many challenges you have to go, and to make your plan for the long term. It might even deter you from going to starting a startup. But, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you to our live stream viewers. I hope you wrote all those tips down. We'll be back in just a moment. We'll be back in the studio with a live interview with our Chief Technology Officer, Mike Schretfer. So check out that in just a moment.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.